Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, who is currently 94 years old, lives in Vatican City since voluntarily retiring from the papacy in 2013. Elected Pope in 2005, his real name is Josef Ratzinger, and he is German by birth. It was noted at his election as pontiff that Benedict had been a member of the Hitler Youth before and during World War II, which is true, but the extent of his World War II service is mostly not widely discussed or known. Benedict is in fact the most famous living German World War II veteran, a title that is not often mentioned for obvious reasons. Born in Marktal, Bavaria in 1927, his father was a local police officer, and Josef was named after him. From an early age, Ratzinger felt a calling to become a priest. His father had no love of the Nazis, Ratzinger recalling, quote, "Our father was a bitter enemy of Nazism because he believed it was in conflict with our faith. That was the example he set for us." End quote. At the age of 10, Ratzinger and his family moved to the city of Traunstein. In 1937, his father retired from the police at the age of 60, and the family moved to a farm. Ratzinger was required, along with all able-bodied boys, to be a Hitler Youth member, and he did his duty, though he opposed the militarism and racism that he was exposed to, and began priest training in a seminary. Nazi policies affected his own family more deeply, when in 1941 one of Ratzinger's cousins, who had Down syndrome, was murdered under the Aktion T4 euthanasia campaign. In 1942, his older brother Georg, who would later become a priest, was drafted and sent to the front in Italy, where in 1944 he was wounded in action. By 1943, Germany was beginning to lose the war and was facing a manpower problem. More use of teenagers was authorized to assist with home defense of the Reich against the increasingly heavy Allied air raids. So it was in 1943, at the age of 16, that Ratzinger was conscripted into the Luftwaffe Flakhelper branch. Flakhelfer, which in English unsurprisingly means Flakhelper, was an auxiliary branch of the German Air Force, tasked with crewing some anti-aircraft guns, radars and acoustic locators, and other paraphernalia used to defend German cities from Allied bombing raids. Established in January 1943, entire school classes of male students born in 1926 and 1927 were conscripted, and they were under the command of adult Hitler Youth and Luftwaffe personnel. Classes continued for the students during their service, though on a reduced scale. By August 1944, Luftwaffe auxiliary personnel consisted of 660,000 males and 450,000 females, and the contribution to German air defense was impressive, freeing up the same number of men to serve in regular units. High-profile Flakhelfen included Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's son, Manfred. The boys had already been thoroughly indoctrinated in Nazi ideology and also practical military skills such as drill and shooting in the Hitler Youth, so the new recruits received a short basic training course and the issue of uniforms, Ratzinger doing his at a flak battery at Obergrashof near Munich. His unit was then assigned to guard a BMW factory, doing so with unloaded rifles. Here, Ratzinger witnessed brutality against foreign forced labourers who had been sent to slave from a sub-camp of Dachau concentration camp. Next, his unit guarded the railway station at Innsbruck. A few weeks later, Ratzinger's unit was transferred to Gilching, southwest of Munich, helping to defend the Dornierwerke aircraft plant. During bombing attacks, Ratzinger's unit lost 1 killed and many wounded in action. Ratzinger's visits to increasingly bomb-battered Munich would leave a deep impression on him. In September 1944, following 10 days home leave, Ratzinger received his call-up papers for the regular army. He was sent to a unit in Burgenland, the area where Austria, Hungary and Czechoslovakia met. His unit was commanded and run by Nazi fanatics, and the new recruits were tyrannized. When they discovered that Ratzinger wanted to be a priest, he became the butt of many religious insults, as he and his comrades dug anti-tank ditches. However, in November 1944, Ratzinger was sent home and after a short leave, ordered to report to a unit in Munich. His new commanding officer was anti-Nazi and looked after his men. By May 1945, with US forces approaching his unit's positions, Private Ratzinger decided to desert as the unit fell to pieces and head home. He discovered his family home under American occupation and was detained and sent to a prisoner of war camp for processing. In 1945, Ratzinger was released and soon after began his training to become a priest. 60 years later to the year, Ratzinger would be elected as Pope Benedict XVI. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon, details in the description box below.